Perfect. Welcome to Big Ten Frienemies. This is an exclusive first time for us. With me, we have our guest star, Vaughn Broadnax. Vaughn, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for doing this.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's actually really funny because everybody keeps making fun of me. They're like, wait, so a Wolverine set this up for you guys? I was like, yes. And I have to explain every time that Steve is a nonstop Twitter fanatic. So he gets in touch with a lot of people, but he's not that bad for a Wolverine. So I'll give him credit for that.
Okay. Not all Wolverines are bad.
No. I definitely agree. Obviously, working in Ann Arbor, I have to deal with them on a daily basis. Steve and I actually have a yearly bet where a loser of this game gets their head shaved in the middle of the office. So I'm really hoping that we can pull out a win.
It's not the time of year to have the head shaved.
It really isn't. I'm not looking forward to this. I sat down with him the other day and I told him, I was like, I know that I've shaved your head in years past, but you at least had support. People are giving you high fives. Like for me, I'm just going to get a ton of boos and everybody laughing at me. But to kick it off, so now, did your allegiance as a kid, was it Ohio State, or who did you root for when you were a kid?
Well, I really didn't pick up the Ohio State fandom probably till the mid to late 70s.
Okay.
And that was the Archie Griffin years. So I started hearing about Archie Griffin, and that was when I really started paying attention to college football.
Okay.
And that was a year that I actually, 73 was the first year I played little pee-wee football in the 6th grade. So getting that exposure, because to be honest, I was just out there, and it took me till the 8th grade to understand what 2nd and 4 meant, 3rd and 8 or whatever. I was just out there doing whatever they told me to do. So my indoctrination to Ohio State really came at a later age as a teen.
Okay, all right, very cool. Now, you actually got to play for Earl Bruce.
Yes.
One of the greats. What was that like?
Well, Earl was as passionate as a coach as you could ever come across, and especially when we played that Michigan game.
Yes.
There was no doubt what our goal was. Now, we went 2-2. Myself, I try to wear these every Michigan week. These are the gold plans that we're awarded for a victory. So I'm proud of those. But the other games, we just came up short. My freshman year, we lost 9-3.
Yep.
And Doug Donnelly just missed a touchdown catch, and that would have taken the lead in the game. And then my senior year, we had just a multitude of mistakes, fumbles, interceptions, and the famous Fumblerooski. So that will always be in the back of our minds because we really had a handle on that game. We just a comedy of errors, and that's why you can never really tell what's going to happen in this game. 2 of the games, my sophomore and junior year, we came in as underdogs.
Yes.
And 81, it was like, they're saying, well, whatever, name your score, Michigan's going to beat Ohio State by, because they had Anthony Carter and Ricks and all these guys, Wolfolk, and we came in there and, turnovers hated, and the same. Then the next year, 82, they were favored at our place, and turnovers, fumbles, it was just one of those games, and it's always that game that you can never go by the records. You can never go by the who's favored. You have to go by who's got the momentum during the game. So
it's great. Now, you had brought up the Fumblerooski. Now, on a brighter side, what is your favorite memory of the rivalries that you played in?
Well, I've got so many, but I would say, growing up in Ohio and then going against some of these guys that left Ohio to go to Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
You played in an all-star game against guys or with guys that went to Michigan. And Mike Bourne, whose sons ended up becoming Ohio State players, he was, first off, he's just a tough dude. And I hated blocking against him. And, whenever I come to game, because I was a fullback, my job generally on running plays was to take out that linebacker, strong side or short side linebacker. And in the Michigan game, it was usually mine. Well, I love when we could call a play that's going outside where I have to block the defensive end or outside linebacker. And, favorite play was we're driving down the field, under 3 minutes to go, and we're toward in the goal line in the red zone, and we get a play call, and Carlton Rose, God bless his soul, may he rest in peace. I got my grips on him, Was it holding? Absolutely. But I was able to maneuver him and, get him out the way, and that incidentally collided with our two other guys and Art winning for the winning score. So Incredible. It was just one of those games where we were such underdogs. That was a gratifying feeling.
Absolutely. Now, you talked for a second there about, you know what you're going into. What is it that we don't see as fans that you guys go through, that coaches kind of put everyone through to really, truly prepare for this game, the game?
Well, now I don't know how it is now, these days.
Right.
I know it wasn't the way during the Cooper years. But I would say probably 2 games before, we were installing Michigan plays.
Okay.
We were going against, looking at their defensive tendencies, looking at their offensive tendencies. So, and although, we played Northwestern usually before the Michigan game,
right?
We kind of focused on what defenses Michigan was running, and we practiced against that. So, and it was a year-long deal. It was we looked at our season in as the pinnacle of our season. How we were going to perform for the season was based on that final game. So we always look toward that final game, despite that one game at a time thing you hear so much.
Right. And that's exactly what I go into. I'm like, there's no way, they got to be preparing earlier for this. I mean,
oh yeah, Michigan does the same thing.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Especially with Harbaugh, he's a character up there. But I know he's working on stuff constantly.
Oh yeah.
So now, when people actually say that it's not a rivalry anymore, it's died off now that OSU has been winning multiple, how do you respond to that?
Well, that's the fans talking who maybe, we heard the same thing in the 90s when the Cooper years, the dark years of, I should say the dark last game years of Ohio State. But no, it's once coming up, I didn't really realize the rivalry. Even in high school, but when I was being recruited, I started getting a sense of it, because I took a visit to Michigan, and I took of course, Ohio State, and I had people on both sides telling me, the Cincinnati Enquirer, they actually printed that I made a decision to go to Ohio State, and I'm like, how can you say that? And, well, I had a cousin who was health commissioner down in Cincinnati, and he went to Michigan, and so they just assumed I was going to Michigan. And so, that's what. And
this is all before social media was even a thing.
That was the original fake news. But once you get on the campus and you start hearing the stories, and the former players you meet, they talk about, gosh, one of the guys who took me under his arm was John Hicks. And he will always be famous as the possible instigator for tearing down the banner in Michigan. So, but you get a sense of what this game means.
Yeah.
And you get a sense from teammates, former teammates, the school, the fans, the state, and then the 2 states, and then you realize outside of the states, people, like to claim that their rival is this, Duke, North Carolina, Auburn, Alabama. I will say this to this day. First off, Auburn, Alabama, we didn't suspend the game for 30 or 40 years, stop playing it. That didn't happen.
Right,
so
very true.
You're out of the discussion. And this state crosses state borders. And, you know, we have all the colloquialisms with Woody, with Bo, talking things about the years, you know, what drives this rivalry. And now, I would say during the game, my buddies that played at Michigan, we're not friends during that 3-4 hour time span. And up to the game, it's kind of tough, you know. Gosh, my dear coach from high school, who was football defense coordinator and my head wrestling coach, love him dearly. Oh my gosh, when I signed with Ohio State, he was so proud of me, and he was an Ohio State fan.
Yeah.
Until his son played football for Michigan.
Oh, no.
So.
And now that begins a frenemies right there.
Absolutely. So this time of the year, you know, we argue back and forth on Facebook. Last year, I went up to Ann Arbor, and his son, his partner's in a restaurant up there. We met up there, and we talked smack and stuff like that. And they look pretty good going, you know, but like I said, that game is so unpredictable.
Right.
And you know, it's whoever makes the mistakes that allow this.
Are you guys doing a favor here? Do you need me to get anything for you?
I'm good. Do you guys need anything?
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. So.
Beautiful. Right now, obviously, we are an underdog at home. I believe it's 5 points last time I checked. Yeah, it went from 3.5 to 5 overnight without games even being played. Obviously, you know, Michigan having the #1 defense, but Ohio State having the #2 offense. That's a great matchup. And then even when you flip the coin, you know, you're looking at the 47th ranked offense versus the 42nd ranked defense.
Yeah.
To me, it seems pretty even. I just feel like Michigan has had not so close of games, which is why they're being predicted the underdog. What do you think?
Well, I've always looked at this game as who makes the critical mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one factor. And then the second factor is who steps up. Who has the big game? Who makes the play that is a difference maker? You know, it could be a catch, it could be a run, it could be a tackle, it could be an interception, it could be a caused fumble. Who is going to make that play to kind of turn the tide and turn the momentum? Because this game has always had momentum switches and surges.
Absolutely.
And
last year alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, you look at last year, they had the early momentum. We came back. We lost our starting quarterback. We brought in Dwayne Haskins.
Yep.
And he came through. Those are the performances that we need. Now, I'd like to see them on our side.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in those big games over the years, you can talk about the Woodsons, gosh, I don't even want to say his name, but
I think I already know who you're talking about.
You've got guys that have stepped up, and on our side, if we play the game with fundamentals in place, we don't false start on our first drive.
Yes.
We don't have nonsensical penalties. We have effort penalties, that's one thing, but the unforced errors, we can't have that. And again, we have to have one player or some players step up their game and perform like they have throughout the year.
Absolutely. Now, do you think that, you know, the defense is not what we've seen before, but they have a lot of talent. Do you think this being the underdog is what's going to literally light a fire under them to say, you know what, let's go out and prove everyone wrong that's been talking smack?
I don't know. It's been really hard to feel the pulse of this team. Mm-hmm. And in situations where, this is like last week, you know, I'm thinking, well, maybe the defense have taken a step. And here, we got a running back, the first few carries of his game, he's got 75 and 80-yard touchdowns on it. So I don't know if that's going to be the result. You know, I hope it is. I hope the fact that they look at this as being underdogs makes them question themselves right here. You know, how are we underdogs to Michigan at home?
Exactly.
And hopefully that'll give them some effort, drive, You know, I could care less if they're angry. I just want them to play right.
There you go.
You know,
100% agree.
I constantly tell guys, younger guys, I said, don't worry about what his job is. Don't worry about what that job is. Do your job. If your job is contained, don't fall into the offensive line, think you're going to help out with a play. Do your job. That's why it's called a team defense.
Absolutely.
So, team offense. If you got to do a block, get the block. If you got to catch the ball, catch the ball. I mean, it's that simple. And until I see that displayed constantly, I'm going to have concerns. I mean, I'm nervous about tomorrow because I don't know what team is going to show up. I feel good about our offense, but the defense concerns me.
Absolutely.
So, and I think that concern is felt by Buckeye fans everywhere.
I don't think I've met any Buckeye fan that isn't a little bit nervous at this point. Steve, this one is for you. Don't say I've never done you any favors. Steve wants to know, can you at least admit that Michigan's helmets are pretty cool? That's a trick question. You don't have to.
I will say this about the Michigan helmet. You know, the Michigan helmet is one of the standard images of a helmet, or one of the standards of a helmet that you can have. It's idyllic. It's, you know, the whatever wings they call them. You know,
right.
You know, some have referred to them as somebody looks like they spilled some sort of radioactive urine on. I don't know, but no, they have a nice helmet. But you know, if I can go to Delaware State or some high school and see the same helmet, I have an issue with that.
There you go. Agreed.
And only one school where you can see our helmet in the Buckeye leagues.
That's right.
I'll leave it at that, Steve.
I love it. And as a closing, now obviously we're nervous. We don't know what we're going into, but what is your score prediction, final outcome?
I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say, unfortunately, the score is going to be 34-21.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I got to go with the Buckeyes. Don't get it twisted, everybody.
He had you going there. You got to admit it. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
And go Bucks.
Go Bucks.